Right there, though. Huh?
I'm just hitting the PowerPoint.
I can just speak quickly then while we're waiting, so that it's not awkward silence all the time. I'm Jen Bellhouse, I'm the executive director of the Chief Alliance. And I am excited to have the time to speak to you all tonight, so thank you for that, I appreciate it. I'm going to share the progress report from 2022. Some of the data is still from 2021. We're just going through our year end and we're wrapping up the 2022 data. So some of it I'll be sharing from 2021 as well. So I would like to acknowledge that I am privileged to be working and playing within the public territory. So I'll give you a little bit of background about the Chicago Alliance. 18 years ago, it was a vision, it was a dream of passionate folks, including some from the district. There was isolated local priorities amongst the meetings in Chihuahua. They were just starting the first Chihuahua tourism strategy that was discussions of priorities leading into the Olympics. There was some roundtable discussions regarding trails and what they could do for the Chihuahua. There was a feasibility study, and the province was just starting the BC Trail Strategy. So in 1996, my predecessor was asked to lead a group of people from the Sorrento Center on a week's worth of walks. So they would go for a walk every day, and they had to be within a half-hour distance of the Sorrento Center. Those were what was available in 1996. Where am I pointing? Sorry.
You should just, you can pretty much point anywhere and it should work.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So part of the Shuswap Trail vision was to establish the entire Shuswap watershed as a united destination trail center known for its active lifestyle, vibrant culture, taking care of the environment, and commitment to sustainable ecology. Part of that was well-designed, well-signed, well-maintained, and well-promoted trails. The approach that we took was to use participatory relationship-based community development model. So in theory, that if everybody was at the table working together, we were going to get more done than any one organization or government trying to do it on their own. The Shuswap Trail Alliance is the organizational body that was formed in 2005 that is the umbrella organization for all regional leadership to work together. So again, when looking at putting in a grant application for the first couple of trail systems, City of San Bernard had a couple of $1,000, CSRD had a couple of $1,000, District of Sycamore had a couple $100 or a couple thousand to contribute to it. And each one of those on its own wasn't going to go anywhere. But by pooling it all together, we were able to put in a grant application and start working on the first major networks within the Shuswap. And part of our big belief is that we're working with First Nations and that there's stewardship and government and industry and everybody at the table together. So 5 of our core pillars, I'm not going to list, but this is the regional collaboration is the big one of why the STA has been successful and why we continue to do what we do. A couple of the shared tools that have been created over the years together, including the trail strategy, which is, being adopted provincially. We work quite often with the provincial government. The STA is recognized as one of the main organizations within the province to implement trail planning and trail building. Through the Shuswap Trail Alliance, the trail strategy and roundtable were born. So the first roundtable was 2016. And again, it's working together to protect, enhance, and recognize trails as an integral part of the Shuswap, but ensuring that trails are appropriately authorized, protecting and promoting First Nations interests, working to reduce and repair ecological damage are all part of the values. And so working together, Yukwetsu, which is a Quebec word for essentially stewardship or working together. This is a picture of our most recent roundtable, which was just held this past fall in person again. We've been planning for a few years. Here's again a couple of our key values, leaning into Yukwetsu and working together, respect, balance. In 2016, a letter of understanding was signed, including the district of Sicamous and most of the other municipalities within the region, committing to work together to recognize First Nations title and rights and collaboration and respect. So the Shuswap Trails strategy and roundtable, essentially the roundtable is a forum for people to discuss at various levels of government and organizations. There's a working group that meets quarterly, and then that information gets reported back to Secwepemc leadership, different municipalities, and the government. There's a pre-authorization process that everybody has agreed to with the development of trails, and the biggest one being that opposed to doing all of your trail planning, buttoning up your project, and then sending it to referral, and the First Nations hearing of it the first time when they get this referral package, the first step is talking to your First Nations. And so for us, that often means calling up one of the bands and saying, okay, we're looking at putting a trail over here. Is there any issues with it? And we're not looking to know what the issue is. We recognize there's cultural and heritage significant sites. We don't need to know what they are. We just need to know that we can look at moving our trail 500 meters to east or whatever it may be. And so we've found the process of working with Indigenous right from the start, that our projects have been a lot more successful, and we have a really good relationship with our Indigenous communities, which is important as well. This just shows the main strategy planning areas within the Shuswap. We have a structured decision-making process. So since 2006, with all of our partners, over 400 Greenway Trail projects have been completed together, 11 signature trail systems, over 150 kilometers of trails, and over $6 million in leveraged cash and in-kind investment. And I do know now that our 2022 numbers will bring that number up closer to $8 million in cash and in-kind investment in trails within the Shuswap. So this is what our trail systems look like today. So if you remember the slide from 1996, there was a handful of trails that you could get to within half an hour. This is a half-hour radius, and I've moved the circle to the half-hour around Sicamous. So this is the number of trail systems on this within the Shuswap. In 2021, we worked on over 90 projects with over 48 partners. We built 40 trails totaling almost 3,000 meters. Bridge, there's new kiosks, there's dam. Signs, we work on the planning every year. There's legacy trail concept proposals. Here's just a snapshot of the 2021, and again, we're updating to 2022 right now. Some highlights: we have been receiving some anonymous donations over the last 2 years, totaling now almost $160,000. So we're not sure who this person is, but if you're sitting here today, thank you very much. And if you know this person, please tell them thank you very much. It's allowed us to complete some projects throughout the region we wouldn't have been able to otherwise. We've had trail building workshops. We work with invasive species removal and partner with the Columbia Shuswap Invasive Species Society. We are working currently on the Barrow Lookout Historic Pack Trail, doing restoration. They're replacing over 500 meters of old boardwalk. We're doing some new wayfinding, some signage. So by the end of this fall, it's going to be really, not that it's not a nice hike now, but it's going to be a lot more accessible and an easy hike to do. We work on greenway trails within communities. The Secwepemc Landmarks project, we've been involved in helping to administer that. The trail crews have been putting in trailhead posts when they're out on other projects. Salmon Arm Foreshore, the Larch Hills Traverse, the IW East Canoe Creek Bridge got completed last year. General trail maintenance, so we do have contracts with the regional district and the city of Salmon Arm to do trail maintenance within their areas. And then we also do unfunded trail maintenance on the rest of the trails within our networks that we fund ourselves. And of course, we've been participating in the rail trail. We built a new website last year. Stay tuned, we have a new trail guide coming out for 2023. And we're involved with active transportation planning within a variety of the communities within the region as well. So here is just a snapshot of all the different partners we have in 2021. 2022, it's pretty similar. One or two may shift, but not many of them. So in 2021, our total leveraged value was essentially 750,000. And I'd just like to point out the little gray pie there for $115,000 of volunteer. What we're able to do with to take with the actual cash and leverage it with volunteers just makes it so much more. So operational agreements. As a partner, the District of Sycamore has previously signed operational agreements with us. We are in the middle of a 4-year operation agreement. And I just wanted to, as there are new council members, just wanted to let you know kind of the benefits of being an operational partner with us. So you get general advice on the trail development issues, regional collaboration, environmental screening and adaptive planning, participation with us, the tools that we have, trail stewardship, trail experience development programs, and a reduced partner rate on any projects that Sycamore were to undertake and wanted to hire the STA as a partner. You have access to our partner rate, which is significantly under market to anywhere else, looking at probably a third, if not a quarter of most contractors. And that is because we have this goal and mission of working together and making the Shuswap a better place for everyone. Here's a couple of our 2022 to 2024 priorities: more management plans, trail planning, maintenance. And then priorities of 2023, we already have 50+ active projects in our system for 2023, and including pushing through the District of Sycamore Bike Park. That's high up on our list, and we've been following up with Rec Sites and Trails CC. I sent another little nudge email yesterday, so hopefully we hear something soon. And then there's just a snapshot of some of the projects in Sycamore. There's the bike park, of course, like I mentioned. We have some funding for District of Sycamore and Trail Goal Review Assessment. We have some funding to put towards Bayview Trail System Planning proposal, and then maintenance for Large Hills Traverse and the Lizard Trail through CSRD. So I think that a request for the roundtable reached you, and if not, I can send that after. But we are asking for a commitment of $500 annually for the next 4 years to go towards the roundtable funding. And that's all the different municipalities and local clubs put that in together. And then the STA funds all of our staff time for that. And so what can you do to help the STA? You can use the trails, you can tell others about the trails, you can join a local trail organization, you can become a volunteer, or you can make a charitable contribution. We do have a legacy fund set up with the Shuswap Community Foundation. We have a Build a Meter trail promotion. And that's it. Cook's Gem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Really appreciate that. Any councillors or the mayor have anything they want to ask? Go ahead, Councillor Evans.
Thank you through the chair. Jen, thanks for coming here. Do you have a personal favorite trail around here?
Yeah, so it's just slightly out of Sycamore, but North Fork Wild is one of my absolute favorites. It's just the magical place with the 200-year-old hemlock groves.
Cool. But an out of shape 54-year-old.
Yeah, you could.
Beautiful thing. Yeah, Fork Wild, there's a series of different loops and trails within it. So it's good. I mean, we take my 5-year-old who at the time was 3 on it, and he survived.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Evans. Anything else, Councillor Beach?
To the chair, thank you, Jim. Just awesome what you guys have all together accomplished, and I have long given the Trail Alliance the credit for thinking in that big picture of partnering across the region and across the cultures, reaching out and partnering with the Indigenous to bring us history, to rediscover the trails that they once used and build more. And I'm always in awe. Phil knows this, and thank you. You do great work.
Thank you, Councillor Beach. Anybody else? Okay, Jen, I just wanted to reach out while we have you here, because later on in the agenda, we have a recommendation for the landmark with the Shrepnick for Sycamore, and they've designated a spot, which is the lookout. So maybe Jen, you just want to give everybody a quick update on that, because Daryl has it on the agenda for later, and the size of it and how it's active and so on and so forth.
It's going to be about this high. and about this big around, and it's a big fire globe that can be locked so that fire cannot go in it. Or it can be open, it can be used for ceremonial fire. Most of the ones that are out in rec sites areas or not directly in town will be like permanently welded shut. So we're not encouraging fire in a pretty dangerous ecosystem for that. They will be using helix piles, I think is to attach to, I'm not the technical person, and someone want to make sure this right, but attached to the cement foundation. The plans have been done by an engineer. We feel that they're pretty solid. Our technical guy, who is also one of the artists, has done a lot of artist installation, and I think even if you hit it with a pickup truck, like it might bend it slightly on the mountains, but it would be really, really hard to damage it to the point of destroying it fully.
Okay, no, that's good to know. I just wanted the rest of the council to understand what we're voting on this afternoon. You know, we see it in a picture and things like that, but just the location is remote and there's not a lot of security there. And so we want to make sure that it's, you know, well cared for and put in the right place so that people can't back over it and stuff like that.
So that's fair. I mean, most of them are in fairly remote places. And actually we have kind of our list of the ones that we think are most susceptible to vandalism, and that one's not on it just because there's so many people that go out to the lookout for walks or to sit and view. So it's not somewhere that's totally isolated.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. Well, we really want to thank you. I know Councilor Mayor Anderson has something to say, but I'll just finish up. You know, you guys have done a lot of work in our area and did some wayfinding signs here, and you guys do a lot of good stuff for all the communities around the Shuswap. And you know, I remember when Lori and Phil and them, the pioneers started it, and they've done amazing work over time. And we're happy to have you working on our bike park, our all-head bike park. Things are starting to move a little bit quicker than what they were when we were trying to do it ourselves. And yeah, so we just thank you. Okay, Mayor Anderson, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to add a thank you, Jen, and great work. Keep it up. I didn't get the size of that because I can't see you. So how big is this wide by this high?
Oh, it's about 3.5 feet round, and it's on our agenda package, and there's a photo there. But it's about 3.5 feet round, and it is anchored with helix piles, so into cement. So that should be fairly well secure.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Okay, Jen, thank you very much, and yeah, we look forward to supporting the Shuswap Trail Alliance.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Our next delegation, we have Deb Heap in the crowd. Thank you, Deb.
Okay, unlike Daryl and the Shuswap Trail Alliance, I do not have a nice power. So it's, I don't know, I'm a loser. Anyway, I did send that email out so you guys could take a quick look at it. I'm just going to hit on, you know, some of the bullet points and such. What I would like to, I guess, kind of get front and center on this is at this time of year, these are very much our tentative plans. They normally work out pretty good, but inevitably you get opportunities that present themselves or things that don't go quite according to plan, and it gets, you know, adjusted throughout the year. But this is a good general idea for you guys of what we've got planned. The first thing that we did is in last year was our first year of getting together with Daryl and actually planning out the district planters. The district had always done those themselves in the past. We thought we had pretty good success with that, so we got together and planned those out again for this year. So Daryl's already got that under control in terms of getting his order ready and everything. In terms of the registrations and participation, I had mentioned to the group back in November, I think, when I was talking about, you know, like how we had done for the year, that I didn't see us entering the evaluated category this year. I have talked to Catherine, who's the executive director, about that, and she gets it. She's very excited about the fact that I've kind of proposed that Andy Hutchison actually get more involved with the board of the provincial committees and with and ultimately maybe become a judge and such. And I told her, absolutely, we want to be a friend, which has a certain cost associated with it, and that we would also likely come up with a showcase project depending on, like what, again, opportunities present themselves. So last year was the first year that the Canada's Garden Group had this idea of a destination garden community. And ultimately, we'll see how that goes. I've been told that they're reworking everything. And so to plan for a registration fee of about $500. But I'll mention too that we're working with Carly, and I really see some great opportunities for garden tourism and Sycamoose to build on some of the things we've done. So when you've got a Canada-wide, map of these are the communities you want to go to, I think it really behooves us to be on that map. And Sarah did some great work in terms of our page for that. They just said, hold off on redoing that until they redo their website. They're talking April. So also, Sarah, we've got some great links with the Sycamoose website too, in terms of what we're doing. And really like to start building on that. I was thinking when Daryl did his presentation on the rats earlier and stuff, is that maybe, I automatically think, okay, we can put some links in the Communities in Bloom Facebook page and just kind of direct people back and forth. It's helpful. So, as Communities in Bloom, I am participating in the Heritage Committee, and just Heritage has always been a big component of Communities in Bloom. Even if we're not going into the evaluated category this year, I think it's beneficial also with me being on the Planning and Development Committee to just participate and keep that line of communication open. Other than that, our ongoing projects, as Communities in Bloom, mostly Anna will continue to maintain all of the projects we've done to date, like the Legion, Ukrainian Garden, and get those going. Get them going, keep them maintained, but also build on them, because some of them are still a little sparsely planted. So we will continue to fill those in and improve the look of those. Everything that we have done to date in those sorts of projects, and so there's Red Barn, Westview, Legion, Ukrainian Garden, are all looking really nice still. So we want to keep building on that. The cleanup, talk to Gord as our main guy, and Daryl's good with the April 29th date. I've talked to the Sycamoose Alliance Bible Church. They're one of our big partners, and with the pickleball club and such. And so it seems like that's a good date, and we will site cleanup, also do the seniors flower beds and keep building on that. Art boards this year, we've had a donation to Communities in Bloom previously that has gone to fund some of the art boards and stuff. And this year that donation went straight to the Arts Council for that component. So we will have the art boards. As I talked to Daryl and Ward about with the art banners, we do have some that we can place them that are very high profile, but would require more of the arms. And certainly if you guys want to put more arms on the light standards, that option's available too. But in the meantime, we'll come up with some good options in terms of placing the banners elsewhere too. So you guys don't care about that. Fire hall. We've been talking about this one for a bit. And I keep on Early Bird Ace Home Hardware has volunteered to sponsor the paint and some of the finishing and sprucing up of the fire hall. And I have touched base with Brett and talking about getting a volunteer work crew. So we've been wanting to do something with the fire hall for a while. So it looks like, yay, this might be the year. Woo! So, I'm kind of excited about that. The caboose, I have touched base with the restoration committee, and they are saying they're going to be done the outside by the end of May. And we are looking to do some landscaping around that too. Just it is a photo op spot for the community. So, you know, as much as we maybe got it cross purposes last year, I'm just really glad that it's not looking like a vandalized eyesore anymore. So I'm, you know, like I'm thinking with some other things going on there, we can work together to make that look good. I'm putting out the Ukrainian internment camp building, and I've talked to Daryl about this before. So this is partly coming, you know, like from my participation in the Heritage Committee, but also just with doing the Ukrainian garden last year. I'm just putting it out to the universe. We've still got that building. It's in bad repair. I think the roof's, you know, caved in. But it's not a very big building, but it's got like a history from the early 1900s, from the World War I internment camp out at 2 Mile. I don't think you'd need much more space in a road allowance, or I don't know with some of your guys' plans out at 2 Mile if there's an option. I'm just putting that out there. And if we can find a place to locate it, then I think I can certainly get some donations to actually do the restoration. And it's just, wow, you know, it's just, you don't have a lot of history like that in St. Louis. So the pop-up garden, of course, was the district did that last year, but we participated. And if it gets moved, or if it stays there, or if like Pam and I were talking about doing something over the seniors, we're happy to help out and participate as usual. So I have been talking to Jamie a bit about programming, and I'm going to continue to think about that. I know she will have her rec guide coming up. I would really like to get a residential program going, and again, Parkland has said that they would sponsor a contest with prizes for instance, the best curb appeal for yards in St. Louis, and do some kind of balloting like we did way back when, and voting, and just to get the residential part going a bit more. It's not something that I have time for. So again, I will start putting the word out to find out if there's a committee, or if there's, you know, somebody that wants to take that on. It doesn't involve a ton, but it's a little more than I can manage. Because I also talked to the senior center about a garden tour, because it could be a good fundraiser for them. And again, you know, help them out, do whatever one day, you know, but we need to follow up on that. Youth, I'd really like to get the young people involved. I haven't had a lot of success to date, you know, like approaching the high school and such, but there's some, I received something from Catherine where there is some good youth sponsored programming and such for to get them involved in communities in bloom. So again, just putting that out there. I will explore it further, but I figure the more I talk about it, more people know about it, the more we get the word out, you know, the better the chances are. So I think we're going to have a real good year again. We've got some good plans, and really it's just now, I don't know if you guys have any concerns. I think this is all pretty, you know, like safe things, but if you've got any questions or concerns.
Okay, thank you very much, Deb. Really appreciate all the work that you and Anna Margaret and your team do for the community. You guys do an amazing job. I'll open the floor up. Does anybody have any questions for Deb? Oh, Councillor Evans.
Thank you through the chair. Deb, the building you're referring to out by the monument in 2 Mile.
It's not by the monument, it's in the public works right now.
Okay,
It would have to be moved somewhere. It was moved from 2 Mile back when Kim Hyde and I were looking to move some trees back before that development started. And we found it in the trees.
you found the building in the trees? Wow.
Yeah, and it's interesting construction. It's not very big, you know, so but it would such. But I think for something like that, I could get some good donations for that, you know, if I started beating bushes. So
Okay. The work, Councillor Evans. So I think that's a great project. Councillor Beach.
The chair, thanks, Deb. You guys do an incredible job.
Thank you.
And yeah, if we can work together on something over at the manor, between the manor and the lodge, that would be totally awesome.
Well,
And
there's lots of, like land there, right?
absolutely, absolutely. And it would be beneficial to both kitchens in both facilities as well. So you've done a wonderful job. And you and your volunteers. I just want to say thank you. Place looks great.
Thank you, Councillor Beach. Mayor Anderson?
Thanks, Deb. You guys do a great job. Thanks for the presentation, and I'm happy to hear about the fire hall. That's been on the radar, so I'm glad to see that there's some action that's going to be happening there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. And just as a side note, as soon as I sent this out and got everything set, I had a request, from the Sickles Alliance Bible Church to help with some stuff they want to do. And so this is always a living document. I think you guys get that by now. We just kind of, it's opportunities present themselves. We go with them.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson, and Debbie. I just want to say thanks to the Public Works as well. That would help you guys out quite a bit, and thanks, Daryl and your team. Okay, all right, Deb. Thanks again. Moving along. Okay, we're going to move on to bylaws and policies. Item A, business license and regulations, amending bylaw number 127, 2023. Scott, we're going to give us an update before we do our recommendation.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a bylaw to amend the business and licensing regulation bylaw number 930. Staff's recommending that this be given first, second, and third reading today. So as you know, zoning bylaw 1000 allows short-term rentals in a number of the zones, R1 and R2 zone as a secondary use to the residential use, and then in the MUR2 zone in stratas. And so we just want to bring some wording into the business license bylaw. So when people are making applications, they're fully aware of what we're expecting as far as the application process goes. Nothing is really that new. We're asking for this now, but it's always nice to have in the bylaw so it's clear for people and they can see where we get the authority to ask for those kind of things. So pre-inspection checklist, that's really just for the owner to go through and make sure that everything is safe in their unit. Floor plan of the premises, including smoke alarms, fire extinguishers, and then where the bedrooms are, and that's for the fire department when they make their inspection, and they have a piece of paper and they can see that someone's thought about those things. Off-street parking, which comes through the zoning bylaw, of course. Contact details for local responsible persons. So that's somebody who can respond within an hour to any issues we have with a particular unit. Proof of registration with the Ministry of Finance for the MRDT tax. So that comes from making a level playing field with the existing tourist accommodation operators. We're asking for a list of the booking platforms and evidence that that short-term rental is not prohibited through the BC Strata Property Act. Did bring this to the Planning and Development Committee, and at that time it said that it's permitted by bylaw. Where we've changed it, softened it a bit, say not prohibited. So maybe to just make it a little bit easier. And then the short-term rental licensees must list the information on all booking platforms, including the maximum guests, the maximum parking spots. And then again, just giving more information on local responsible person. And then we're going to include a map that has all the different short-term rentals on it. So if someone does have an issue, they can go to the map, they can click on it, they can see who the local responsible person is. We're hoping that will ease a little bit of the burden on district enforcing or contacting things. And then the last one is just if we do receive a complaint, ask for the license plate numbers. So we can go to the property, you can see, are these vehicles supposed to be at this unit and why are they parking on the street, and then we can address it that way. And then the next step, it's the next bylaw, is the amendment to the fees bylaw. But right now we're recommending that these amendments receive first, second, and third reading today.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So I'll read the recommendation that the District of Sycamore Business Licensing Regulation amending bylaw 1027/2023 be given first, second, third reading, 25th day of January 2023. I have a mover. Member Cave, seconder, Councillor Beach. Discussion. Anybody have any questions, concerns? Mayor Anderson?
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Scott, I just want a clarification on E. Can you legally do that? Is it, can you get all their information and pass it on?
So, sorry,
Go ahead, Scott.
thank you. We would ask that, if we had like repeated issues with parking at a certain spot, we'd ask them to provide us the name and the ad or the license plate number of whoever's renting the unit at that time. Then we can go and we can look and see on the street if those vehicles match with the vehicles that are supposed to be staying there. So then we can determine, is it that place that is having the parking issues, or is it another place that is having the parking issues? Or are there vehicles that are being parked there that, exceed the number of parking spots?
No, I guess maybe I didn't phrase that right. I don't know. Can you ask for the names and the contact information of the people that are renting the place?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
And that's part of the business license, right? They're agreeing to adhere by the rules of the bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, we studied this at Planning and Development. I know this has been a long-term project for staff. I think it's really well balanced, right? We're trying to get people to comply with the bylaw by setting out some very clear rules that they can follow that would also bring them into compliance. And I think it's also really important to note that this is going to level the playing field with our local hotels, because they're going to also have to collect the MRDT tax. That's going to go, I think, to a lot of really good use around town. And I just want to say thanks to staff on this. This is kind of one of the issues of our time. Airbnb and everything has upended communities and upended traditional, short stay holiday models. And I think this is a right balance between, making sure we're going to get compliance, but still allowing people to do some of the short-term rentals that I know people in the community want. So really good job.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. Anybody else have any concerns? Any more discussion? No more discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Scott. All righty. Moving on to just one sec here. Moving on to the District of Sycamore's fees and service amending bylaw 1028/2023. Recommended that the District of Sycamore's fee and charges bylaw 1028/2023 be given first, second, third reading. The 25th day of January 2023. Scott, do you want to give us an update on this one?
Thank you, Chair. So this is the second part to the short-term rental bylaw, and that's just capturing the fees. So right now we charge $90 for a business license, and that includes the mobile vendors, short-term rentals, and bed and breakfast. So we're looking to add a new fee, and that would be one part for bed and breakfast and the other part for short-term rentals. We've found that bed and breakfast and short-term rentals are almost really the same use. People are coming and staying. We're checking for the parking spots. We're going out and doing the inspections. And we came up with the fee of $265. So Brett and his team go out and do an inspection, and then just the administration time. And we worked out that that is about $160 just for that component of it. And then the remaining about $105. We put a little bit aside for enforcement, and then training the inspections. We're gonna get the same process, the city reporter program we use for building permits. We're gonna start using that for fire inspection permits and business licensing. So some of that money is actually going to that for the administration of that to buy the software and then a little bit of training for the software. One question that has come up is, are we gonna have capacity to do all the inspections? I think right now we probably have about 5 that are ready for inspections. We probably have another 24 applications that we're looking at this week. But you know, it'll be slowly as we work through the applications. I think we will have the capacity to consider Brett's time, and Brett has 2 deputies working with him. And then if we are really slammed, then we have our building official and our bylaw enforcement officer that can help out with inspection. So I think we'll have capacity without adding any new staff. That's one question that has come up from some of the operators at this time. You know, are we gonna be able to get them their permits in a timely process?
Okay, thank you, Scott. I don't think I asked for a mover or seconder. Can I ask for a mover? Mr. Bailey, seconder? You're written. Okay, any discussion on fees and charges? I can't see Colin's hand, but I don't.
Oh, sorry.
Great. He's there. Okay. Okay, no discussion. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Okey-dokey. District Sycamoose Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw number 1029, 2023. Kelly, do you want to give us an update?
Most definitely. So this is a very exciting bylaw. Not really, but those of you who have been on council for a while will have seen this every year. So this is an annual bylaw that we do. There's quite a bit of restrictions about borrowing money for municipalities. So there's only certain reasons we can borrow money. One of them are anticipating revenue. So municipality is unique. We collect the majority of our income in the summer months in July, but we incur expenses year round. So what this bylaw does is allows us to access our line of credit with the credit union, which is $1.5 million is our line of credit. If we need to access it for cash flow purposes, we are authorized and able to. And then once we get our tax money, we'll pay that line of credit off. We have since being here, we've used it once, and that was this last year. We don't anticipate using it this upcoming year, just the timing of capital projects when you receive funding and all that kind of stuff. And just so everybody is aware, our interest rate on our line of credit is prime plus 0, which is currently 6.45% for the credit union. So it's a little bit more than it was last year as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Kelly, well, I'll read the recommendation first. Recommending that the District of Sycamoose Revenue Anticipation Bylaw number 1029, 2023 be given first, second, third reading this 25th day of January 2023. Can I have a mover? Councillor Evans, seconder, Councillor McCabe. Okay, any discussion? Pretty straightforward. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. There you go, Kelly. Bianca. All right, moving on to staff reports. Now we have a lot more recommendations and stuff coming, but we'll try to get through these as quick as we can. We have fire department declaration of service level. Brett, you gonna give us a little report? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Office of Fire Commissioner has put out some new training requirements for us, and with that, we felt it was appropriate for us to declare our training levels. We've always had in our not in our bylaws, but they want to see it from mayor and council that you're supporting the direction that the fire department's going on this training. So what we're recommending is that mayor and council approve the recommendation that Sycamoose Fire Department's declaration of service level be declared interior level. So there's basically 3 separate levels that we train to or that are available to us. Sycamoose Fire, we train to full service level, but because of manpower issues, new firefighters coming on board, it's not always something that we can offer. So we felt that interior level was appropriate. The different levels, so exterior level is what it exactly sounds like. Firefighters are only allowed to fight fire from the exterior of the building, which handcuffs them pretty severely if there's something going on inside that you can't actually get to. With that exterior level of training, you're not permitted to enter into structure. It's quite a concern for us. Interior level, it allows us to pack a fire at the interior level. It's obviously much more dangerous. So we have some concerns about that. And with that goes driver operator training, fire officer training to make sure that the guys are being safe and doing what they're doing. Part of the burn building and the reasons logic behind it is to continue that high level of training. We actually were out there this past Tuesday lighting little fires and getting the guys to go through their different drills and stuff. One thing that, as well as our 1001 certification that we've been working on, we've included things like swift water and ice rescue, which got utilized on Monday, and wildland firefighting has been pretty important for us. And that level of training takes quite a commitment by the firefighters. So one of the things that I feel is important is that the community recognizes, that these guys put in a lot of effort to protect our community. So just with carrying on, just not over the service levels, so that should be so the only next level that we could go to, according to the Office of Fire Commissioner, is full service level. And that's really more geared towards the full-time municipal department with full-time membership, quite a sizable budget, and a lot more involvement in those types of departments. They include things like medical response and auto education. They provide all the services. We're providing what we feel is some of the holes in some of our protected services. So again, why we provide the wildland, the ice rescue, swift water rescue, things like that. So the recommendation, well, I think that's basically financial limitations, communications, we're aligned with the strategic priorities in the declaration for the fire protection plan, and that's an important part of it. Part of the declaration is we're seeing some of the grants require us to have the resolution from council that supports our declaration.
Okay, thank you very much, Brett. I'll read the recommendation. Recommendation that the mayor and council approve the recommendation that the Sicamous Fire Department declaration of service level be declared as interior level. Any discussion? Anybody have any questions for Brett?
No, do you want to move her?
Okay, can I have a mover? Right. Ian's moved it. Pam Beach seconded. Councillor Beach. Any discussion? Councillor Evans?
Brett, thanks for all your hard work. You put in a lot of effort and appreciate it very much. Thanks for saving lives and for making it better around here.
Anybody else?
That's hard to top.
Yeah, that's hard to top. Yeah.
Really want to thank your team, Brett, and what you do for the community and all the wildfire protection. And of course, now, like you say, you were out the other night on the ice there, and we really appreciate everything you guys do, and thank you very much. Okay, Councillor Beach.
Brett, thank you. Thank you for the tour. It was wonderful. It's been 40 years I've been outside a fire.
That's an open invitation for those who get an opportunity to attend that. So if you would like a tour of the fire hall, please let me know and we'll
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a mover for that recommendation? Okay, seconder. Or did I ask that already?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's been a long day.
Anderson, you should be back here. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks, Brett. Oh, yeah. Oh, all in favor?
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for.
It's a marathon meeting day, Gordon.
Anyhow, too many projects.
You're doing a great job, Gordon.
Okay. Moving right along, Okay, staff report, fire department, declaration, service level. What are we here?
Did that.
Oh, here we are, sorry. Columbia Shuswap Regional District Service Agreements. Ellie,
Yes.
this is a handful.
Yep, no, not saving lives here. This is just working on some agreements, but they're important too, maybe not as important. So we have multiple agreements with CSRD. So what this is our cost sharing agreements. So we provide some services for CSRD and they pay us for some of those services within the area. So it's fire suppression, mosquito control, and parks. So these agreements have been in place for 20-25 years. The agreements and the underlying service establishment bylaw have been in place since the 90s. And so this, one of the agreements came forth, I believe, in August of this year, and council directed staff, because the agreements at the time were not very clear in exactly what services on what area. Even we were confused, and so was CSRD. So since then, operations, Daryl and the fire chief and Bianca and myself have been working with operations at the CSRD to fine tune these agreements and really make them what we're actually doing now and make sense. So the agreements have all been updated. They're similar, but they're different. The description has been expanded, so it's very clear what services that we are providing. The contribution sections, the cost section have been updated, so it's also more clear and administratively streamlined. We've included the maps from the bylaws within the agreement. So then when we go and look at it again 5 years from now, we know exactly what we're doing. And the parks agreement is a little unusual because if I go here, let's go to the parks one. So all the other ones are service agreement. We're providing a service to that area. The parks one, if you take a look at the map, there is no parks out there that we maintain. So when we met with the regional district, we were curious, like, what are we supposed to be doing here? So we've switched that to a contribution agreement. So what the area is doing is they are going to contribute to the district of Sicamous for the maintenance of regional parks. So we've identified Finlayson Park as well as Beach Park as regional parks that the surrounding area uses. So they're giving us a contribution towards those parks. So we've got service agreements and we've got the one contribution agreement. So now we're all clear in terms of what we're doing. In addition to that, what we did notice is this area here. So the area within the parks as well as within the mosquito control, which is the same as this one. So if I go to the mosquito control one, the attached map. When we met, we are actually providing mosquito control for a larger area over here. So when talking to CSRD, we have the commitment, those areas are embedded within a bylaw. And in order for them to apply the tax to those properties, that bylaw map has to be expanded. So we have the commitment from CSRD to expand the mosquito control and parks map to include the additional areas so that next year, when we need to make changes, we don't need to change the agreement. We just need to update the map. And our cost recovery will be more. So how the costing works is we basically take our actual cost for those services. We take our assessment and that area assessment and we prorate it. So if we have a bigger area, we'll be getting more cost back, more money back. So that's the gist of how that works. Also, so then for the various functions, what are we getting? Around $51,000 back in fire suppression, it's $8,000 in mosquito control. So this will go up because that area will go up, and the parks contribution will also go up because the area will go up. But for the 2023 year, this is what it'll be. Those maps will be updated for 2024. So they'll hit the 2024 budget year because they have to go through their process. And then it'll come back and hit these agreements. The only other different thing on here is Annis Bay has its own separate cost sharing agreement. So Annis Bay reached out, the people there wanted fire protection to minimize their insurance. And this was how many years ago, Brett? Probably Annis Bay was over 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so they reached out and it was at a different time than our other fire suppression agreement. So we took a look at what we thought our cost would be for that, for providing that additional services. And we came up, I went and looked into it. We said it was going to be around $12,000. So there were 60 parcels at the time. So it's per parcel, $200 per parcel. And it's now increased by CPI. So now it's 216 and there's one additional parcel there. So instead of paying the additional premium on insurance, which would be much more than that, they're paying an additional parcel tax on their property, which funnels through to us to provide fire protection for that area. That's the little difference there. So there are 4 5-year agreements. 2 are for fire, 1 is for mosquito, and 1 is for parks contribution. That's it in a nutshell, and I'm open to any questions you may have about these.
Okay, Kelly, there's recommendations on each one. So I think what we should do is probably go through each one individually and ask the questions to that pertinent recommendation. So we're not bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, first one off is a recommendation that the council authorize mayor and corporate officer to execute a service agreement with the Columbia-Shuswap Regional District for fire suppression services within the rural Sycamoose area service area as presented this 25th day of January. Can I have a mover? Councillor Evans, seconder, Councillor Bailey. Discussion. Anybody have any questions on this one? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, number 2. Recommend that the council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to execute service agreements with the Columbia-Shuswap Regional District for fire suppression service within Annis Bay service area as presented this 25th day of January. Can I have a mover? Councillor Beach, seconder, Councillor McCabe. Okay, any discussion on this one? Oh, okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Okay. Number 3, recommend that the council authorize mayor and corporate officer to execute a service agreement with the Columbia-Shuswap Regional District for mosquito control service within the rural Sycamoose area as presented this 25th day of January. Can I have a mover? Councillor Rich. That one. He was getting through this one. Seconder. All right, Councillor Bailey. Okay, discussion on this one. Okay, go ahead there, Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. Yeah, this year seemed to be a bad year for mosquitoes. Is there any explanation? It's just Mother Nature taking over as opposed to our budget, or what happened this year? It seemed to be a bad mosquito year.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. Darrell, do you got any comment you can add to that one?
Sure, through the chair. It was a challenging year for the mosquito people. They had some new staff and it was a really wet spring and I think some areas got missed repeatedly. And I think they played catch up till well into the summer.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Darrell. Okay, any other questions, Mr. Bailey?
Well, maybe just a follow-up to that. Have they got it dialed in this year?
The mosquito contract will be going out for RFP in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
That's not a comment against anybody that's worked for us doing that, but we'll make sure that whatever's in place next year, those holes get filled.
Great, thanks, Darrell. Thanks, Councillor Bailey. Okay, all those in favor? Barry, thank you very much. Okay, the final one is a recommendation that council authorize mayor and corporate officer to execute contribution agreement with the Columbia-Shuswap Regional District for the use of certain regional parks within the rural Sycamoose service area as presented this 25th day of January. Can I have a mover? Councillor Rich. Oh, sorry. Seconder, Mr. Bailey. Okay, discussion. No discussion on this?
Through the chair. Just a quick question. Is the cemetery included in parks? Do we maintain the cemetery? For the CSRD, and is that considered a park or?
Go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair. So we actually get a grant and aid annually from CSRD of about $750 or $1,000 for our cemetery. To help cover the cost of the cemetery. Our cemetery budget is pretty small.
This does look after. the
Yeah,
cemetery.
we look after the cemetery, correct.
Okay, good question, Councillor Rich. Any other questions? Okay, I'll call go ahead, Kelly.
I just wanted to make a comment that I didn't point out before. It's the cost of our boat launch, our Finlayson boat launch is also absorbed in there. So it's Sicamous Beach Park and our boat launch that they're paying us a portion back on.
Okay.
Just for clarity.
Thanks for that clarification. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item C, memorandum of understanding for Questview Apartments. Kelly, you're up again.
Yep, so this will be relatively quick. So this was, this is a memorandum of understanding recognizing, that we have a large parcel of land on Main Street. And there, it's straddled by two accesses for other businesses. We approached both properties to see if there was an interest in a shared access. Questview said there's an appetite there. And so we've prepared a memorandum of understanding, which has gone to their strata. They've high level approved it. They've also provided just a little sample. So it would be a diagram, a sample. It's a 10 meter. Is it on this one? Yeah. 10 meter statutory right away along this side, and that we would essentially replace any parking here, and this would be replacement parking there, and that we maintain this and remove any trees. So that's the gist of the MOU. It's non-legally binding. It's just saying, hey, there's an interest. Questview district has an interest. Let's see if we can agree to something. If not, that's okay too. But that's the general gist. So they have an interest in potentially providing a shared access into our future development.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly, for that report. I'll read the recommendation. Recommendation that council authorize mayor and corporate officer to execute a memorandum of understanding with for explored shared access to 409 Main Street as presented this 25th day of January. Can I have a mover? Councilor Rich. Seconder, Councilor McCabe. Discussion? Councilor McCabe.
Yeah, I just want to thank staff for all their work on this and for moving this forward. So thanks for all your work on that.
Okay, no more discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, okay, moving on here. Item D, development variance permit. 23005 development variance permit, number 2 Old Town Road. There was a correction in here and I'll read it out in the recommendation, but Scott, do you want to give us an update on this one?
Yeah. Have to get my screen up. So this is an application for a development variance permit. It's out on Old Town Road. It's probably the last property on the right-hand side as you're heading out to the marina out at Old Town Bay. So the recommendation is that the zoning bylaw be varied to allow for 2 decks and varying from the side property line from 3 meters to 1.77 meters and 2.55 meters. Here's the drawing of the property. You can see the driveway coming up from Old Town Road. Right underneath the number 2, there was a dwelling unit there that's been removed, and they put in a building permit for a new single family dwelling. If you look just kind of on the top right, you can see the little blue shed. that's there, and then there's another building that that's there as well, just touching the property. So when they originally cited the single family dwelling, it was on the blank piece of paper, it looked pretty good. But when they got out there, they decided to shift it slightly so they didn't have to. So they didn't want to ask the neighbor to move the buildings that were already there. So they shifted the building slightly, and that made the building encroach on the property lines. But the property is designated rural in the official community plan and is country residential and zoning bylaw 1000. And here you can see the drawing where if the building was square on the property, then there wouldn't be an issue. But because they shifted it to as to not force their neighbors to move their buildings, they created a setback encroachment here for the one deck on the side and the one deck at the front. Relatively small. The setbacks are 3 meters, and on one deck they'd have to go down to 1.77, and the other one would be 2.55. Here you can see the building as it sits on the property. The owner of this property does own the property next door, so I guess the theory would be that they're only really encroaching on their own area, although title could change. So it's good that the people would be aware that there is a possible encroachment. We sent this out for referrals, the internal referrals. There's no concerns from any of the internal referrals. Planning and Development Committee recommended approval. We notified neighbors within 50 meters, and we didn't get any comments back. And staff's recommending that this variance be issued. The applicant may be on the line. I don't see him. Trevor Hammond, I don't see him on the line, but if there's any questions, I might be able to answer them. If Trevor's on the line, maybe he can answer them as well.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I'll read the recommendation. Recommendation that council authorize the issuance development variance permit number 28005 DVP to vary the minimum required interior setback for 2 decks from 3 meters to 1.7 meters and 2.55 meters respectively for the property legally described as Lot 1, District Lot 135, Kamloops Division, Yale District Plan 27978, located at number 2 Old Town Road. Can I have a mover? Councillor Evans, seconder, Councillor Bailey. Any discussion? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, just that point. We're only talking about encroachment in our zones. We're not talking about encroachment on another piece of property, correct?
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. Any other questions? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, Scott. Okay, moving along, item E, development variance permit number 22-338 DVP 1444 Silver Sands Road. Scott, you want to give us a report?
And thank you, Mr. Chair. And I believe Amanda, the applicant, is on the line. So if there's any questions, Amanda or myself may be able to answer them. This is a variance for a secondary dwelling unit to go from 40% of the living area of the single family dwelling to 47.5% of the living area. So in the zoning bylaw, a secondary dwelling can only be 40% of the size of the primary dwelling. And in this case, the house is 7.5% bigger than that. So looking to vary that from 70.8 meters squared to 84 meters squared. Property is located on Silver Sands Road, fronting on the Sycamoose Lagoon. You can see the property here. There's a just kind of on the south side of the property, there's a screened in porch, and then the building would be right behind that. So between the existing building and the road. The property is designated residential low density in the OCP and R1 and 2 in bylaw 1000. Here you can see the site plan that was provided. And the existing dwelling, and then the proposed garage with the second floor would be a dwelling unit. So we're calling that a coach house. So the living area of the coach house is 47.5% instead of 40% of the principal building. Just in this drawing, there's the the screened in area, the covered porch is not built yet. So you can have to just imagine that building be a little bit bigger, and it makes up the 47.5%. Here's a picture of the property. So the garage and coach house would be kind of on the driveway, right where it is in this picture. The Planning and Development Committee recommended approval. Planning and Development Committee also considered a development permit. So because this is within 30 meters of a water course, a development permit's required. They've applied for, they've submitted their information to the Ministry of Forest, Lands, Natural Resources for approval for the RAR report. And we're waiting to hear back from them on that. But the Planning and Development Committee did consider that and recommend approval of the development permit for that. As you can see, probably just no impact on the lagoon from here. But you can see within 30 meters, and you can see the leaves on the ground. And so, you know, if that house wasn't there, you get a picture of those leaves going into the lake, providing cover for insects, other animals, fish eat them. That's how the whole fish habitat things work. But I think there'd be no impact with the house being there. We had no concerns from the building inspector. He did say he would be reviewing the property for compliance with building code. No other current concerns, and the fire chief, he did say he didn't have any concerns either. And we did send it out to property owners within 50 meters, and we got two property owners that are one right next door and another one on the street that said they didn't have any issues with it, and they supported the development variance permit, and staff's recommending that the variance permit be issued.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott. Okay, I'll read the recommendation first. Recommend that the District of Sycamore authorize the issue development variance permit number 22-338 DVP for the property legally described as lot 32, District Lot 452, Kamloops Division, Yale, District Plan 19182, located at 1444 Silver Sands Road, to vary Sycamore zoning bylaw number 2022, section 3.56BI, floor area of a secondary dwelling from 40%, which is 70.8 square meters, to 47.5%, which is 84 square meters, for the development of an accessory building and coach house. Can I have a mover? Councillor Bailey. Okay, any discussion? No discussion. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Along here, we have the Schwepnick Landmark Art Project. Daryl's going to give us a little presentation.
Just the majority. Okay, so if we go back to May of last year, I was cold called from members of the Secwepemc Nation, and they were requesting we facilitate a meeting for them at the beach park. So at that time, they wanted a bunch of the elders to get together. So we put up a tent and gave them some seating, and we brought them some coffee. And they wanted to have a big discussion about where to put a landmark art project in Sycamoose. We'd offered up the beach park just for interest's sake, but they didn't want it tied to that project. So they were looking for any other opportunities around Sycamoose. They had their meeting back in May, and I hadn't heard anything for almost a year. And then I was contacted by email a couple of weeks ago, and they reached out to me and asked if I would bring this forward and see if we would be interested in being a destination partner for their artwork project. So I've been running around for a week calling this the fireball, and I appreciate Again, straightening me out, this is a fire lantern, I guess it's called. And it's kind of hard to tell with perspective, but she said how big it was, so it's gonna be pretty big, and it sounds like they want to build it in kind of a robust way, so. This is what they have in mind, and they asked if we'd be the destination partner for it, so. I'd never heard of that term before, so I needed to get some information and didn't know what a destination partner was. So I asked Kelly, and she said it's the pen pal that you finally get to meet, but that wasn't right. Call for you meeting trees, and that wasn't right. Then Scott weighed in, he figured it was a member of your gang that you run into in prison. That's clearly not what the destination partner is. What it is it's somebody that takes ownership over the artwork, and they cover the cost for inspection and maintenance. Okay, so what does that entail? I reached out to Shoe Shop Trail Alliance. They would actually be doing the inspections because it's not within our district. They said they could take that on twice a year. They would go up, they would do some cleaning and small repairs as needed, which, you know, they would schedule, they would look after. So yeah, that's what's involved, the maintenance, repairs, biannual inspection. The commitment to replace, it's a little piece that we'll get back to. So Shoe Shop Trail Alliance will maintain it. And the maintenance estimate that came in from Adrian would be about $1,000 a year for us to commit the funding so they could go do that. So that's the quote I have. So the value of the project is approximately $10,000 for the artwork. When I did this quick PowerPoint a few days ago, I didn't know if it was an insurable asset that we could just add on. I believe we can. So it's an option. I'll leave it with council if they want to take this on as a destination partner and they understand what that means now, then we can do that.
Okay, thank you, Darrell. We love your PowerPoints. I'll read the recommendation first. Recommendation that council direct staff to enter into a destination partner agreement with the Schwepnick Landmark Art Project. Can I have a mover? Councillor Evans, seconder, Councillor Beach. Okay, discussion. Okay, Councillor Bailey first.
Sorry, I wasn't quite clear on where this would be going.
Up at the lookout on up Quest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the hand glider ramp. It'd be somewhere situated near the ramp.
And sorry, just follow up. Is that technically in Sick Moose? No, it's not. Okay.
Okay, good comment. Councillor McKay, were you next?
Thank you, through the chair. I wonder if the Shoe Shop Trail Alliance is committed to some maintenance and inspections. Why don't they be the destination partner? Why are we, it's not in their boundaries or anything. Wouldn't it make more sense to maybe the Shoe Shop Trail Alliance being the destination partner? I don't know.
A good question. Thank you, Councillor McCabe. Let's go Councillor or Mayor Anderson first. Mayor Anderson, are you there? You frozen.
I think it's frozen.
Yeah.
Councillor Rich first.
It's moving.
My suggestion is that we would table it to next meeting to see if we can insure it. I think where it is, if somebody does get a truck or piece of equipment and decide to move it, we need to figure out what it's, is it insurable at $10,000 and that we're committing to replace it when we don't have a good watch over it. I think we need to figure out if it's insurable and what our deductible is. Because I know that they're saying it's going to be really solid, but I also know it's a really rural area and people do have big pieces of equipment around here if they decide to remove it. And if we are committed to replacing it, what if that's covered by insurance?
Okay, thank you, Councillor Rich. Before Kelly, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, through the chair, I just want to answer your question on insurance. We can insure it through MIA, who's our insurance provider. We do insure a lot of other random things, if you will. So it'll have effect on our premium. It won't be a material effect on our premium. Our deductible is $5,000 for any of that stuff. It's like a blanket one, but we definitely can insure it. It might affect our premium by $50.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Mayor Anderson?
Yeah, thank you. Those are all really good concerns. I like the destination partner idea. However, the Lookout is a very remote and busy location. I'd be concerned, as Councillor Rich, about the safety of the artwork being up there. Daryl, did they mention any other location? Could we bring it into Sycamoose or somewhere where we can see it more often, or just inspect it? Or it's just, a lot of people go up there, and as Siobhan said, there's a lot of big pieces of equipment. My concern would be it being destroyed or pushed over the edge.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson.
Yeah, through the chair, it was the one sole location that they'd identified. So, I mean, I could certainly voice our concerns and see if there's a plan B, perhaps.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay, thanks, Mayor Anderson. I'll just, go ahead, you still want to say something?
Yeah, can I just respond to Daryl there? I agree with Siobhan. If Daryl could go back, we table this and Daryl go back and just double check and see if there's another spot. If they're totally set on that, then yes, I guess we'll have to insure it and take care of it. But I'm concerned about the location. If Daryl can maybe express that to them, we can maybe table this and have a discussion again.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson. Yeah, Daryl, if you're talking to him, I mentioned it to Jen Bellhouse that I was really concerned. I've been up the mountain and put up a sign and carried on 5 kilometers to put up another sign. And when I came back, the sign was already pushed over by a truck. And it took me like about 2 hours to dig a hole, by hand. So it's and up there, it has a lot of traffic, and there's no room to turn around. It's really going to have to be put out of the way, or it's going to get driven into by something. And we're responsible for it, and it'll be just a bottomless pit forever. So it'd be good. We have, good to make some of our concerns heard. That's for sure. Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, yeah, I would suggest maybe Old Town. I mean, there's a lot of heritage there and Indigenous heritage. And we also have more of a flow there. Again, I don't know if we want to be driving tourists up to the Outlook. I know a lot of people do go up there, but a lot of people get stuck up there and the road isn't maintained, and it's also an active logging road. So if it's a destination partnership where people are going to go up and look at this beautiful piece of artwork, which I would really like to see in our community, putting it at the top of an active logging road. And, if it's on the rail trail and now we're putting tourists up who don't have radios, well, we've got logging trucks whipping down. It just doesn't seem to be the perfect location.
Yeah.
So maybe we can come up with a couple of suggestions for them. Go back, but, maybe that's something we can discuss.
Thank you, Councillor Rich. And I'll just give you a little history. This started out with the Shuswap Regional Strategy Group. And they have these all over the Shuswap now. So there's one over in Chase, and originally they're all supposed to be on a tripod, and it's supposed to be some kind of artwork. And you look through it, and where you see through it is where a point of interest for Swepnik First Nation group. And at first they wanted to have it at Owlhead parking lot, and I said it gets no, it gets the odd quadder and motorbike person over there, but I said it should be in the beach park. So they agreed, and they said it was going to go to the beach park. And then this is the first I heard of it, that it was going to be up the mountain. I thought they were going to have it in the beach park and look up the mountain. But this is the first I heard that it was going to be up the mountain, and now it's not even a site scope or anything. It's just it looks like a beautiful piece of art. So yeah, okay. So that's a little history there. I just thought I'd let you know. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. What about the nature trail? So Silver Sands Nature Trail. to Eagle River there. I know we have a little bit of encroachment at the front end, but I think in the loop it's crown land. That'd be, you know, a heritage site for Splatson and.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna support this location. I support the concept, but not this location.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McCabe. Mayor Anderson?
Yeah, thank you. We're a destination partner, so what they want tourists to look at this, and Daryl, perhaps you can share this. The lookout, I mean, we don't drive traffic up that road if we can help it, so, and not everyone can get up there. So, maybe it should look at Old Town Bay, the beach park, but somewhere that people can see it and visit it easily. So I'm kind of agreeing with Malcolm here. I support it, but don't support the location.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson. I think we got staff some direction and we'll table this.
So the motion was made by Councillor Rich, so to postpone to a future meeting upon further discussion. So is there a seconder?
Seconder, Councillor Evans.
Okay.
And I call the motion.
So do we have to vote it down?
No, this is voting on postpone.
Okay with it.
Oh, okay.
And go back to the original and you guys can vote it down.
We call the motion to postpone it.
Table it.
Table it. Unanimous. Okay,
And then back to the original,
and back to the original recommendation. We have a mover and a seconder. No more discussion. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion defeated, so all opposed. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to resolutions. Shuswap Healing Center Project Working Group. Ellie, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you through the chair. So similar to what we did at the last council meeting, we set up a working group for our housing project as we navigate through these next few years. It's critical that we have a working group that can meet on an as-needed basis as things arise. This is recommended with two counselors, two staff members being Karen Eastland, the health center manager, and myself, who are spearheading the project from a staff level. So it's up to council who they deem who they would like on the working group. Not a massive commitment, but just the counselors who have the most interest that when their issues arise or we need to meet to discuss something, we can meet more quickly than and frequently than at a council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. I guess I'll read the recommendation so we can get a motion. Okay, recommend that the working group be established to meet on an as-needed basis regarding the Shuswap Healing Center project, and that the working group be comprised of 2 district council members and 2 district staff members, Kelly Bennett and Karen Eastland. Can I have a mover?
Well, don't we have to maybe nominate?
Do we nominate first? Like,
Yeah.
discussion first, and then we can read the recommendation with the names.
okay, don't need a mover or seconder for discussion. Okay. All right, open the floor up for discussion. Anybody have any comments?
I would really like to see Councillor Beach on this. I think she knows more about our medical history and our needs and is probably our most versed person on our council. So that would just be my recommendation that Councillor Beach is part of this.
Thank you, Councillor Rich. Councillor Beach, do you accept?
Can I just,
Oh, that was easy.
That was hard. Mayor's waving.
Colleen is, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mayor Anderson.
well, I just, before we go into this, I just want to find out if there's any counselors that are interested in sitting on this. Like, does anybody want to put their hand up for it?
I would.
Sorry?
We have two. We have Councillor Bailey and Councillor Beach.
Okay, so Kelly, just a question for you. Pam is already on part of this. Is this separate?
No, Councillor Beach isn't part of any specific, I guess the programming for the previous programming working group. Perhaps, but from a council
Design.
yeah, no, and this is just to navigate through the programming and, capital over the next little year or two.
Okay, sure,
No,
that sounds
there's not a conflict with Counselor Beach on anything else.
perfect. Thank you very much. So you have two, so, okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Just if I could say something,
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Councillor Bailey.
but I would be more than happy if somebody else wanted. I don't want to, I'm just, I'm interested. I think I could add maybe a perspective there that maybe is complementary to Pam's perspective. That's all.
That's excellent.
Okay, no, that's good. If nobody else wants to put their name in, we appreciate you both being on there. So we'll add Councillor Beach and Councillor Bailey.
Two bees.
Right.
Okay, all right.
There's a lot of bees around here though.
I'll ask again, can I have a mover? Councillor Rich, seconder. Councillor McCabe. Okay, no more discussion. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you very much. Great. Okay, moving right along, we got some correspondence from the SPCA Publication and Animals Bylaw. Anybody would like to say something? I know Councillor Rich would like to say something. You go ahead.
So I mean, I think it's important in our community. We don't have, we do have bylaw, we don't have animal control. We do rely on the SPCA through Salmon Arm. So, you know, information, and animal welfare, the more, we're proactive, having people, realize that they need to contain their animals, they need to spay and neuter the animals. And we have a place to put animals that are abandoned, and it's actually quite a, huge issue in Sycamores. Feral cats are huge, and there's actually a lot of, dogs that are, abandoned in our area, when you get involved in it. Yeah. So we do have K911, which is Deb Fortin, who runs a nonprofit, and doesn't, you know, just kind of runs out of donations, and then Shuswap Paws, which works for all of the Shuswap. So I think we should get more information and also bring this to a forefront that we do have problems, and we don't know. I don't think the city really looks at them. So.
Okay, well, thanks for that information, Councillor Rich. Anybody else have any concerns or want to discuss this? Okay, well, maybe would you like to do a little homework on it and see if we can get some more information for staff on bylaw stuff, and
Absolutely.
we'll move forward. Thank you very much. All right, okay, well, we're getting close to the end here. We got some public input period. Is anybody in the galley or anybody online have anything to ask, discuss? Pretty quiet. Everybody wants to go home early.
Happy Robert Burns Day, Mr. Chair. It's Robert Burns.
Oh, that's right, too. Okay, well, thank you for adding that.
Only 11 months left until Christmas Day.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, well, I'll recommend that the regular council meeting, January 2023 be adjourned at 6:34. Can I have a mover? Councillor Bailey, seconder. Councillor Beach, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you, staff, and thank you, councillors and mayor.
Good job.
Thank you.
Councillor Mayor. Councillor Mayor. He has two jobs now. Really?
Oh, God, get home.
It's a long day.
Meeting?
Now I gotta go curling.
Then my wife just said,